Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tangled Silver Magazine's The Ageless Lounge. Today, I've got Gwen Roberts of Gwen Roberts Coaching with us. Welcome, Gwen. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello. Hello, Robin. So great to be here. It's a joy to have this
I
conversation with you.
I am so excited, but let's get started with the key thing we always start these conversations off with. And what does it mean to you when I say I believe you are an ageless woman?
Yes. It's a biggie, isn't it? That's a big statement, a big question. What does ageless mean for us women? And I'll tell you what, when I think about that, what it means for me is that I stand in my wholeness and I presence myself in my wholeness wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. And that wholeness is all of me, right? It's all the things that make up me. My age is one of those, but it's, how I present myself, if I'm choosing things, what I'm saying, my experiences, my learnings, my relationships, right? The things that are positive, and we were just talking about growth edges, right? Showing up with all of that and having the freedom to do so. And that is what I feel is an ageless woman.
I love that. I love that. You know, I'd like to kind of give everybody a little present. So Gwen and I met about, she came to the very first inaugural Silverhood Experience in Estes Park, Colorado. She's been back from last year and she's already coming back for this next year. And I'm super excited. But what I love is that when we first met, you were a woman still in the corporate world and kind of on a journey to figure out what was next for you.
Mhm.
And now you're going to be launching that your next chapter. So like, can you share a little bit about like what it was like that first experience you came with us as far as like looking for that next chapter? Because I think so many women start feeling like, especially if they're coming out of the corporate world, well, what's next? And am I done? And yet here you are just leaning into that growth that we were just talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's important to ground it in the fact that here I am today, and I wake up knowing that this next chapter is going to be one of my best. And that was
Yeah.
not always the case, right? It was not always the case. And when I came to you, I had made a very important step, and that was stepping out of my comfort zone, right? Making a choice that was different. I was not sure what this looked like. I went through years, and I think this is a familiar story to many of us. Years of feeling disconnected and not able to really be visible, and all of those things kept getting worse, right, as I got older, and that was scary. And all those roles, the corporate role, the raising the kids, the mother, the all of those roles all of a sudden were like, wait a minute, that was shifting under my feet. And then what do you do when you've been defined a certain way, and especially in that corporate world where they are taking you and you are just going, right? You're just going, it's survival. You make choices kind of based on a survival mode, to do what you need to do when you need to do it and get it done. And then in that mode, it's like, whoa, now that's not a future I want. But what do I want? What can I want? What what what's in here that I could think about? And I was stuck, right? Really stuck. It's scary to think I'm aging and I'm becoming irrelevant. I know the age
Mhm.
old thing.
Yeah.
And somewhere I knew in my heart there was something else. And I saw your your event through Maria Shriver's Sunday paper, which was giving me a little bit of inspiration of, oh, what could I do? Right. All of a sudden, there's a little possibility. And so I just signed up. And that was scary as all heck, Robin. what I'm doing? I'm going someplace I've never been. I'm going to be with women I've never been with. What? And then something happened. Robin, you called me before that first event. And it's like, oh, this is a woman who's supporting other women. I mean, I felt the safety, right? I felt the safety of this container of, we're going to hold you for all of who you are, where you are now, what the possibility is for you in the future. And that's exactly what happened at that conference. I went into that conference kind of with that kind of almost a corporate mindset, you know, like, I don't, whatever. You got to hold your own, right? And you networking and, that kind of, yeah. And then it was like, ah, a big breath of fresh air, Robin. And it was just a lovely, warm, experience where I was able to learn and grow and have community with other like-minded women. And that experience helped me see the possibilities before me. That's what that did for me.
Oh my gosh. That is so wonderful to hear. Because that's really why I started doing what I did, was to kind of support women and bring us together and under a roof around a table where we could all feel supported, and none of this stuff that we've been taught we're supposed to do, which is compete with each other and
Mhm,
not support each other and push each other down because we got to get ahead of each other, right?
mhm,
So I love that you felt that. Even just you coming back in the second year, I saw such a difference in who you were coming back into the second year. The first year you were quieter, a little bit more reserved. What I would say, like the corporate, right? Really fitting that corporate, you're just that switch. But then you came in this year and you just kind of owned that room. You walked in, you were comfortable, it was just fun to see the growth. And then fun to hear from a year's time what you were now going to be doing, what you were transitioning into. And again, transitioning into something that supports women. I'm
mhm.
assuming, especially in the category of women that have lived your journey, that corporate world, right? Like I can tell you, I have not lived the corporate world. I was in it for like a short window of time and was like, oh, I got to get out. My soul was like, nope, you're not a corporate woman, Robin. As much as I would have liked some of the success that can come with that, I knew from day one I was not a corporate gal. But for those who are doing it, and like you said, it defines you. And then what's next afterwards? I love that you're creating this space with those answers. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit, because you're launching officially in January, right? Your new program that you created. Share a little bit about what that looks like for all of us, and how that really speaks to women like yourself that maybe are on that fence and not sure what's next.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, a journey, right? And I want to be clear in saying this. It doesn't just, one day I'm lost, the next day I'm found, and I am now doing it, right? That's not the way it works. And it's important to share that, because as women, we've been conditioned that we need to be perfect. And it's not safe for us to get out there and try and fail and try and again and morph and change. The world is not built, there's not the constructs that allow us to do that. So we have to create those ourselves. And so here's an interesting statistic that women feel that if they're going to do something new and try something, they have to be a minimum of 85% prepared before they do it. Guess what percent men feel they have to be prepared?
It's got to be a lot lower than that.
15, 15%. So that's why I say this, because it's important that it is a journey. And so, yes, I'm launching, and that's just the beginning. It's not the end, right? It's the beginning. And the experience of kind of figuring out what I could be doing, what's the impact that I can be making. And it all came down to learning how to trust my own wisdom. And so I think about the women that I have met, many of them in the corporate world, and have also been caretakers or mothers in, you know, in a respect. Usually we're doing both in some way, shape, or form. And that's who I'm speaking to with my business, is to help them at that time in their life where they've had those roles and they've succeeded and they're proud of it. And it's all good stuff. It's not, but somehow it's not the path forward. And they don't, and what do you do with that? I mean, how do you figure that out? And so I am something that changed me, or that kind of, it was the shift. It was learning about Dr. Claire Zammit. She is a transformational leader of women. And so she did all this research, taking all the transformational information that's out there, but it was always applied to men and apply it to women. And so she has a women-centered principles coaching, and I've built my business based on those women-centered principles of transformation to really help them understand their unique barriers and how to overcome them so that they can build a future where they feel like they're impactful and relevant and seen.
Well, that I think is so key, because what you said there is, we can't be, we're not cookie cutters, right? Not everybody fits in a cookie cutter of what's supposed to come next. And especially not when you're putting us in a cookie, right? Because we just relate differently. You're talking about, the wisdom. That's a key thing. We have it, but I don't think we own it loud enough, right? We've been told we're too loud, we're too much, like settle it down, tone it down. And so we forget that all these years that have contributed where we're at, all the life's experiences, we're this wealth of wisdom. And if we all come together, we get to rise, right? Versus being squished back down. So I love that you're going to be providing this space for women to figure that out and to understand it, and to also be okay when it's not perfectly perfect me, right? Like, I am never going to be perfect. I am not in that 85%. I have never been somebody who's waited till everything's perfect. I just kind of jump in, and then I swim and figure if I have to doggy paddle for a little while, that's okay. I'm going to get there eventually, right? But not a lot of people have that. And that's okay. We're okay wherever we're at, right? If you're somebody who has to have it here before you jump, and that's okay. And you can figure that out for yourself. And that's where you're honoring your space, then that's fabulous. Again, I think most of us need that understanding that it's okay, because we have been just spoken to for so long that we're supposed to follow this way of things that was, I'm going to say, I'm probably just like, that word assuming what that can make out of you. But I always think, where did some of our stories that aren't really our stories come from? Mostly from outdated men who's kind of put those notions in place when women did sit back and listen solely to their spouses, solely to what, we were the second voice. We were never allowed to be the first voice, in a sense. It's come together, and like, it's not a matter about being the first voice, but it's a matter about being a shared voice.
Oh, I love that, Robin. It's the shared voice. Yes. Right. My favorite quote from Dr. Zammit is, we can't become ourselves by ourselves. Yes. We need, and that's, one of the pivotal things is going to your conference gave me that community. And it was the fact that we were all in different places, different times, different levels of whatever, success, or our jobs, or our own personal journeys. And so everybody was learning from everybody, and there was that contribution. It's not one way, it doesn't go one way, so that's, I just feel it's essential. And, in this world, it's getting so disconnected, isn't it, Robin? I mean, the disconnection in the way our world works, and it's really building those meaningful relationships and connection that's that's such a it's I just don't know if you can do it by yourself without it.
Yeah, I definitely don't think so. I think, especially the community that we have, I think there's something unique about being able to recognize each other's strengths and
Mhm.
weaknesses and still huddle up around the tables together, right? I mean, I feel like it's that old story, there's like a sharing a meal with somebody, just sitting around together. And, we weren't just sitting with speakers in the front of us sharing knowledge. And that's great. I love the speakers that come and share with us. Um,
Mm,
but I love that we are all in the room together. We're working it, right? Like we're sitting at the tables. We don't have speakers that just come in, do their thing, and then leave. One of my requirements when I'm looking for speakers is, are you going to be committed to being with us? Because we want you in the trenches with us. Um,
mhm.
we want to be together because that's how we, again, I'm repeating myself, but that's how we rise, is when we come together.
Yeah.
So I love the place when we come as women to a certain age where we stop giving an F what anybody else says, right? If it doesn't hurt anybody else, we don't have to care anymore, right? And I think that we get to the point where we are in the, I want to say, a lot of us get there in our 50s, some earlier. If you get it earlier, wow, congratulations to you, because I wish I had done it earlier, right? Where I stopped caring about all the noise around me and just honed into, okay, if this isn't hurting anybody, like with Ergo Natural, right? All the comments that were coming at me, I kept thinking, my hair color choice has nothing to do with you. It doesn't hurt you in any way. What do you care? Like, if it ages me and I'm okay with that, what does that matter to you? It's like all the things that we get to now come to the point like we realize we don't need everybody's approval. We don't have to be everybody's shot of tequila. We can just, it's one of those things. I say I may not be your shot of tequila. Not everybody likes tequila. That's okay.
And
But
absolutely. I know. Isn't it just it's just like freedom, right? It just is so it's expansive to
yes.
have that, to feel that way. And, you know, but you have to become aware of it and understand it. And what does that mean? And, and until you can really start to see it and then understand how it's affecting your choices and decisions and
Mhm.
self-image, um, once you can do that, then it's like, oh, you see it everywhere and you understand it, and then you can kind of work with it, right? And yeah,
Yep.
so and do the gray.
Well, and like you said though, it isn't just the, like, we wake up one day and go, okay, now I suddenly don't give an F. It is that journey that gets us to that place that you were speaking about,
Yeah.
right? That journey of
Yes.
recognizing what our triggers are, recognizing what's somebody else's stuff and not your stuff, and recognizing what is your stuff, and then working
Mm,
with it. Whether it's good or
it's true.
bad, still figuring out that that's yours. So let me unpack it instead of that's his or hers.
Yeah.
It's Dan that. Yeah.
It's
So
it's so
tell me,
true. Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Go ahead.
it's just kind of amazing when we get that. I was gonna say, tell me a little bit, because I know that you've created like a program. Um, I had it written down, like the activation code. You want to give us a little sneak peek of what that is for us?
Sure. What I did is I really thought through those pivotal moments of my journey and what helped make the shifts to keep, growing and growing. And I took those and kind of plucked them out and, encased them in these women-centered principles, so that it follows that. And then built what I call the activation code, which is it's a 2-month program. It's exactly what it says. It's kind of this, let's activate our inner wisdom. Let's acknowledge it and start to understand it. So it's that initial awakening, and it's a process to help us do that. And we do that by really examining our mindset and what that looks like, where we have that growth and where we have that fixed. And I'll give you an example. My whole life I've worked in the learning business, in educational publishing and sharing, and so I understand kind of this learning process. And I'm like, I have I have a growth mindset. I understand growth. Oh, yes, I'm open to learning, right? And then all of a sudden, I realized through this that I had so many closed and fixed set mindsets of other things that I wasn't even aware of my relationships with other people and what I thought about what they would want from me or not want from me, and underestimating that. And so it's like, oh, wait a minute, I thought I was so good with this growth mindset, but I and it's no judgment, right? That's we do
Yeah.
this in a way that we can examine ourselves without any shame, no
Yeah.
judgment. There's no good, there's no bad, right? It's not about your worth. Your worth is your worth regardless. There's
Exactly.
no, so so that's an example. And so we have exercises around that growth mindset. And then the other key piece is understanding these hidden patterns and cultural barriers that are influencing us in ways that are so ingrained that we just don't even realize it. And then we
Yes.
start to unpack that. And then that provides the opportunity to start creating that new story, and start to see what that possibility is. And then we work to build those next steps to kind of bridge from the now to then, and what do you want? And so it's that kind of that initial process. So it's exciting and fun, and I just really would really hope that I can help women learn that they can trust their wisdom and they've got it in them, and then with that they can heal the world.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that for you and for everybody that you're going to be coming in contact with. So tell us how we can find you, your website, give us all that stuff so we know where we can find you.
All right. Yeah. And so it's all still kind of in the transition. So like I said, I'm stepping out of that comfort zone. It's not all perfect yet. So you won't
Yeah.
see a lot of things, but you can reach me at GwenRobertsCoaching.com. And I'm on
Okay.
LinkedIn and Facebook. It
All
may
the
not
good
look
stuff.
like it's the official yet, but I'm there and I'm happy to connect in any way, just to have a conversation.
Well, and I'm going to tell you all right now, Gwen is somebody you want to talk to. I absolutely adore you. Um, I'm excited for the next chapter. I'm excited for the women whose lives you're going to touch. Like I picture somebody at some point sitting with you and sharing what you share with me. I will tell you that we had a conversation after this last year's event that you had me in tears, sharing a little bit of what you shared here and a little bit deeper of what coming and being a part of this community has meant to you. And it had me in tears because that's like why we do what we do when we that, and why I make those phone calls is because I always think I'd love to get a phone call from somebody that says, "Hey, I'm going to something." They're calling you personally, and it's the person that's actually talking to you. I love the idea of that. Really is. I want to meet everybody. I mean, I think I tell everybody, be prepared to be hugged when you get there. If you're not a hugger, forewarn me because I'm a hugger, right? I think I probably told you that as well. I'm a big hugger, so if you don't want to hug, I will okay with your boundaries, but prep me ahead of time. Say I'm not a hugger. Like, and if I don't get to hug everybody in the room, I get disappointed. If I'm not getting everybody really worked up about that piece, maybe that's my imperfectly perfect trigger I have to work on is not getting upset if I can't get to everybody.
Yeah, I'd keep that one. I definitely would. I
I just
love
love
it.
to hug. I love to meet everybody. So I'm super excited. Be checking out, watching for Gwen as she posts and officially launches. Reach out to her if you have questions, or maybe you just want to see what she's about. Reach out to her and look for her next year. Come year in September, and come experience the Silverhood Experience and the women that you'll get to meet. Um, it's been life changing for me starting it. It's been life changing for me with meeting all of you amazing women. Um,
Mm,
and I just hope that we can continue to have women own that wisdom, share their
yes,
wisdom, and live fully in
yes.
it. So
Oh, there you go,
thank
Robin. That's it. That's it. I stand with you on that. Yes.
thank thank you so much for joining us today, Gwen. I'm sure we'll have you come back at another point in time where we can dive. You're really in the flow fully. But thank you for today, and we will talk with you soon. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us. Go foul Gwen.
Thank you, Robin. It's a pleasure. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.